Hey, sports fans, PB&Z Sports, chaos. And it's been a little chaos in the NFL after week one. We'll talk about that momentarily. But we're going to talk college football because last week, once again, did not disappoint. Another top 10 program went down. Notre Dame, which may be close to the biggest upset this year. Of course, we got a long way to go because there could be some more coming up. But Northern Illinois, I think Notre Dame was a 28.5-point favorite, if I remember correctly. Does that sound about right?
Man, yeah, and then they lose outright. Not even worry about covering.
Yeah, outright. I mean, that was a shocker. Texas
Yeah.
went into the big house. I mean, we all thought Texas would win. I didn't. You picked on, I think, the cover. I didn't think they would cover. I thought Michigan, at least with their defense, and they absolutely rocked Michigan in the big house. So that one was, to my chagrin. And then the other thing, in our pick fours, you guys, I think, both picked Iowa. I picked Iowa State, and I said not only will they cover with the points, but I think this is going to be the upset. So that was my upset pick last week. And I'm going to give you one when we do our foreplay. We'll say one after foreplay, because I think this is a trend we're going to see continue for the rest of the year. Let's get right into this week's game, because we're going to talk Eagles, BC Eagles. They rocked it last week, 56-0 against Duquesne. Duquesne, I know, is 1AA, FCS, whatever you want to call them. But they were a top-ranked FCS program, and FCS, like Northern Illinois proved, is a formal, can be a formal team. So this week, BC goes to number 6, Mizzou. By the way, BC is ranked number 24 for the first time, I believe, since 2014. They're in the rankings. 16.5 points is what we're playing with. 16 point. I think that's actually gone up even more. Oh, no, it's dropped. Sorry, 14.5. But we'll stay with the 16 like we originally said, because that's what G Money bet against. What do you think of this game? Can BC hold their own at Missouri, or there's a high-flying Missouri offense? And by the way, they have not given up a point this year, Missouri. So their defense is playing well as well. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's really what it's going to come down to is can BC get some points? I think BC can keep Mizzou at bay, maybe keep them into the low 20s, mid 20s, maybe. So the question is, can BC score that much on Mizzou, right?
Right.
But given the fact that I think that the BC defense can maybe confuse Mizzou a little bit, I'm going to say that they cover the spread. If they win the game, I'd be ecstatic. I don't know if they can win this game, but I think 16 is a lot to give, given that you're talking about two nationally ranked teams right now, right?
Yeah.
And Mizzou could fall right into this Notre Dame, Florida State trap with these top 10 teams will lose into teams that they should beat. So I wouldn't be surprised if BC wins. I'm definitely taking the points, though.
I agree with you 100%. BC could win this game. Definitely taking the points for sure. What does G Money say on that one?
He's got BC as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Here's a game that's only taken place for the third time ever. Bama against Wisconsin at Wisconsin up at Camp Randall, as they call it. Bama's a 16-point favorite when we picked this one, but it's gone up to 16.5. What do you think in this game?
Yeah, and I think this is another point trap. Like last week, I thought Tennessee was the point trap, and I took Tennessee, and they covered easily. I think this is another point trap type game. So I'm going to stick with the favorites here and lay the points with Bama.
What's G Money got?
G Money is taking he is taking the opposite way.
He's going Wisconsin. He's all right. He's grabbing the points. I am too. Camp Randall's a tough place to play, especially when they start playing jump around. You start to get freaked out with your opponent. So I get Wisconsin covering, but losing this game probably by 15 in the end. All right. A game that they used to call the Civil Rivalry. Civil Rivalry. I'm going to Civil War. I'm sorry. I'm going to still call it the Civil War. Oregon goes to Oregon State. Oregon's looked shaky. They're a top 10 school, but they've looked shaky so far. They're going into this one with a 16.5-point advantage against Oregon State. I don't think Oregon's covered yet this year. So that's a concern to me. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing. This could be another point trap. I think you're going to see a lot of money coming in on Oregon State. Plus, it's the in-state rival, to your point, right? But I'm just not going to fall into it. G Money has Oregon State. I just can't fall into the trap. I'm just going to stick with Oregon and hope they can get their offense figured out, put up some points, and win that one big.
So that's my concern. Until their offense gets right, I can't take that chance. Not in a rivalry game. I see Oregon State going in, and not only that, but they're offended that Oregon left the conference, right? Oregon State is one of the remaining ones to be left behind, did not join another conference. So I got Oregon State romping in this game, and well, not romping. Well, let me tell you this. This would have been my upset pick. I've heard a few people already say this on ESPN that this could be the upset of the week. Another Big Ten, a top 10 school going now. I don't say it's going to happen, but I got Oregon State covering.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off that huge loss. They go to Purdue. Purdue is a next door neighbor. They're right down the street from Notre Dame. So this is a rivalry game. I know they're not in the same conference, but Notre Dame's not in any conference. They're a 9.5-point favorite in this game. If they had not lost last week, I might have considered this is my upset pick. But I think Notre Dame rights a ship. I don't think Marcus lets them slide twice in a row, but we said that about FSU when they played BC, right? So I don't know. Right. Maybe these top 10 losses are going to come in twos this year. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to just not think that Notre Dame is going to realize the big slap in the face of reality last week and come out firing on all cylinders this week. So I'm going to take them and lay the points.
I'm with you. I got Notre Dame as well. G money probably Notre Dame, I bet, right?
Yeah, you did.
Hey, I got an upset for you. I was going to pick one of these ones, but I didn't. The upset I got, LSU ranked, I think, the 15th or 16th. They're going to South Carolina unranked. I believe they're a 7.5-point favorite. I'm not even picking a spread. I'm just going to say South Carolina pulls the upset this week, and another top 20 program loses. The streak continues.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's a good one.
All right. Let's talk NFL. So you saw your Dolphins lose Thursday night. It looked ugly with the Tua concussion. Are you concerned for the season, for Tua's career? What do you think at this point in time?
Yeah, everything. I think this without Tua. I mean, I saw a statistic today about Waddle and Hill's performance with Skylar Thompson at quarterback versus Tua, and it's night and day. This whole team slows down offensively, and we already know that they lost a lot on defense, so they were really relying on that offensive game. Now, can their run game still get established? Yes, but you still need to have a good passing game if you're going to have a good running game, right? So I think it does mean, a lot forget about the playoffs. I mean, if Tua's not playing, I don't think this is a playoff team anymore. And I think Tua's doctors may even advise him that he shouldn't play football anymore. I mean, if he comes back and plays again after 3 concussions, pretty severe concussions. I mean, he looked like he was getting paralyzed during his concussions that he's had, all of them. He's immediately stiffened up. And I mean, I can't imagine a doctor just clearing him and saying, hey, yeah, go play football without risking your long-term life, So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't put on lace up his fucking cleats. Ooh, I swore his cleats the rest of his career. I think it might be over.
And the one thing I'll say about that whole incident is he knows he has issues, right? Why not slide? Why put your head first into the chest of the player? And how ironic the player was Damar Hamlin, the guy that almost died on the field a year ago. So
right,
to twist the fate there. But yeah, do it. You got to slide, brother. Don't be a hero. You decide to come back. And by the way, I don't know why he's not wearing that crowned helmet like some of you see, allowing some of the guys to play with these days. That should have been the number one thing he should have had. Let's switch gears. Another injury that did not seem big last week. It was a last-minute call that CMC, Christian McCaffrey, did not play for the 49ers. Didn't hurt them at all as his backup went out there and went crazy. But now he's not going to play this week, it looks like. And they're contemplating the IL or IR. I don't know what they call it anymore. But if he goes on that, he's out for 4 games. I got to say, if you're thinking about it, you're going to pull the trigger right now. If you wait one more week and then you put him on it, you've lost him for the first 6 games of the year, right?
Right. And then here's the difference between San Francisco and Miami is that San Francisco is deep. They have a great system. Shanahan's an excellent coach, and it's not going to really impact their ability to. Now, could they in the playoffs maybe drop a game and not get to the Super Bowl this year? Yeah, without McCaffrey. But I don't have any questions in my mind that this is still one of the top teams in the NFC, one of the top teams in the NFL, and an easy playoff team without CMC. You saw what Jordan Mason did last week, and there's no reason to think that. I mean, he's not going to do that every week, but there's no reason to think that he can still be a top 10, top 15, top half back, let's say, in this NFL. So I'm not worried about that injury. It does stink for fantasy owners because most people took him the number one overall in their drafts.
Yes. Yeah.
And now they're already trying to, but if they handcuffed him with Jordan Mason, they're also feeling pretty good. So
Yeah. Hey, by the way, we would be remiss if we did not mention the biggest upset in the NFL last week. None other than our local New England Patriots going to Cincinnati. None of us picked them last week. We thought they had no shot in hell of winning that game. And not only they won it, but they looked very convincing in winning that game. Totally handcuffed Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase was no factor at all, right? I forgot T. Higgins wasn't playing in that game, so that didn't help them because they have no other wide receiver after Jamar and Higgins.
yeah,
That was a great start for the Mayo era, right?
I would agree, and I too was surprised. And for those of you that do survivor pools, a lot of people just took the Patriots. I do one that has over 2,300 people in it, and I think almost half of them were eliminated in the first week because of that loss. So a lot of people took Cincinnati as the sure win for last week. I'll tell you though, Patriots defense, they got after the ball. They look like ball hawks
By
and
the way,
creating
Keon White,
turnovers.
man, I guess the Patriots knew why they got rid of Matthew Judon. I think they knew they had something in Keon White. 2.5 sacks, another 3 pressures. He was all over the quarterback last week, right?
Yeah. So we'll see what they can do this week. It's tough little opponent coming, for their first game at home against Seattle. I think it's going to be challenging, but
The
if they
bigger
pull off
question,
another
though,
win this week,
the bigger question, and we're going to pick this game in a minute, but the bigger question is, does Cincinnati have bigger problems than we realize?
I'm going to say no. I'm going
Okay.
to say that they're going to turn it around. They'll be like in their Notre Dame mode, right? They'll get a slap in the face of reality. They'll wake up. They'll right the ship, and I think that they have too much talent to really be a concern going forward. They just made some bad plays. They weren't making their plays. They'll make their plays. They're still a playoff team in my book.
By the way, is Russell Wilson in trouble? I mean, Justin Fields won the game last week. I know he wasn't overwhelming, but they won the game, and it was to miss a beat against a highly favored. You and I both, and G Money as well, like the Falcons, and Pittsburgh took care of stuff, right? So Fields, I think, starts until he loses. Do you agree?
Yeah. Let's see what happens this week, but yeah.
Okay. All right, let's make some picks. Let's start with the Colts Packers. Packers do not have Jordan Love, right? They definitely is out for this game. Colts look pretty good in defeat to the Texans last week. Anthony Richardson threw that 65-yard touchdown, falling backwards. And I mean 65 yards in the air. It was a 60-yard touchdown credit-wise, but 65 in the air. What do you think of this game, Colts Packers?
Yeah, I mean, if Love was playing, I would take the Packers easily at home. I don't think the Colts are the type of team that is going to week in and week out do what you saw last week. To your point, great loss. If you had to have a good loss, I mean, they played one of the best offensive teams in the AFC, and we're toe to toe with them. So, but with the absence of Love, I didn't see enough out of Malik Willis to put my stock in him right now.
Nope.
I do like Green Bay's offense and defense. I think they can stay with any team in this league, but I just have this sneaky feeling that the Colts are going to go up into Green Bay and upset them. So I am going to take Indy this week in that game.
What's G Money say? I got Indy as well.
G Money has Green Bay, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay. He must have forgot about Jordan. Or maybe he thinks Malik Willis is better than he really is. All right, here's another game, a big one. The Bengals going to try to redeem themselves in a tough spot. They got to go to KC. And by the way, the Bengals have been running their mouth off all week. Like, you know what? We played as bad as we're going to play all year long. Watch out, KC. Are they just stupid?
Yeah, I know, right? And the whole thing from the years past where they were like Burrowhead, because it seemed like Cincinnati was going into Kansas City and winning all the time, right?
Yeah.
And part of me, I mean, when we did our picks by division and everything else, I did pick Cincinnati to win that game. And I do think that Cincinnati is going to be in that mode that I just talked about, where they figure out a way to right the ship. They get that slap in the face of reality. They come back, they bounce right back. But unfortunately, they have to do that in Arrowhead against the best team in the AFC. So if it was another team like maybe Baltimore or Buffalo or something, I might be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But Kansas City's the one team I just can't see them losing at home to Cincinnati, especially given the history.
And
So I'm
by the
going
way,
to take
why
Kansas
would
City.
you give Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones bulletin board material? I mean, that's just stupid, right? You must have thrown
Yeah,
gas on the fire, right?
yeah, exactly. And G Money
Oh,
does have Cincinnati, by the way.
he does, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
staying with you. I'm with you. I'm going Kansas City at home.
All
You know,
right.
Bengals going to show me something before I can pick them again. All right, let's go. Let's go into the Pats game. Seattle comes here, and we did our divisional picks this year, and I said it both when we picked the NFC West and we picked the AFC East. There's no way in my mind Seattle comes in and plays a 10 o'clock game and wins, especially the way the Patriots are feeling about themselves right now. I'm going to say right now, Pats win that game. What do you think?
Yeah, and you know what? You might shift my thought process here because I did have Seattle originally. G Money has Seattle, by the way. But now that I think about it, it's a 1 o'clock game. They're coming across the country, and the way that the Patriots played, I think they can temper Geno Smith and company. Not to mention the fact that the Patriots versus Geno Smith in their history of their games together when he was a Jet, they used to light him up, right? So I'm gonna change my opinion. I was gonna go Seattle, but we do this on the show sometimes, right? Last minute, we
Yeah,
just
yes.
we just shoot.
Yeah, you
So
convinced me to take Cowboys last week when I didn't want it, and that was a good
and
move.
that
We'll talk about that
and
in a minute.
they
Um,
smoked them.
yeah,
So G Money has Seattle. Me and you have New England, which means all three games so far. Me and you have the same
I
team, but
like
G Money has the opposite team.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I just. By the way, the fan base is going to be just wild tomorrow for that game. It's going to be a hot day, nice day in Boston area. They're going to be stoked. Good luck. Good luck, Seattle. All
Right,
right.
and you don't travel. What you can't travel with your team when you're going all the way to Boston, right? You can
No.
travel when they go down and play Vegas, or when they go play, the Cardinals or the Chargers or something. That's a fun little trip. You can't plan a trip to go see your team play for a weekend across the country either. So you're right. There will be no Seahawks fans. Hardly any Seahawks fans there.
No. No. All right. Let's pick the Saints Cowboys. This is a game that features the two teams that I thought had the best wins last week. Can't Saints won 47-10 or something like that? It was a blowout. Cowboys beat down Cleveland in another blowout. By the way, Deshaun Watson is clearly the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. Not only the biggest punk and delinquent, but just the worst quarterback in the game at the moment. What do you think
Yeah.
about this game? It is Cowboys home opener.
Yeah, I don't see any way the Saints can win this game. I mean, granted, they look good luck. They were at home last week. They're typically not a good road team. Derek Carr is not one of the top quarterbacks. He is not going to play like that week in and week out. They were playing a very weak Carolina football team. There's
Yes,
no question in my mind that he comes into this stadium and Micah Parsons is all over him. They disrupt their whole game plan,
I
and this is
agree.
going to be another blowout. I got the Cowboys scoring in the low to mid 30s maybe, and I have the Saints maybe getting to 17 at best. I see this as another 2 touchdown plus blowout for the boys.
I don't even know if they got 17. The Cowboys defense, although the Cowboys defense was a little shaky at times last week. They missed some tackles. They actually let Deshaun get out of a couple sacks, so that concerned me. But I think Mike Zimmer gets this defense rolling. I like him better than I do Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator. I'm glad they brought him back. So I got Cowboys as well. What's G got? G Money.
He actually does have the Cowboys, so that's the first one he's the same on us with.
Okay. All right. The Sunday night game is the Bucks going to the Lions. This one, I think we're all going to pick the same team. But Tampa Bay rolled last week as well. Baker Mayfield looked as good as Baker Mayfield can look in football. 4 touchdowns, 300 plus yards. He just owned the game last week. This game is going to be a little tighter than what people think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can see where that might be the case, but I really like the Lions in this game. I think the Lions, to me, are the best team in the NFC right now, right up there with San Francisco. Maybe you put Dallas in that equation. Um, and I think he just had a great week. He just had a great week. I don't think he consistently is going to perform at that level. Obviously, he's facing a completely different, defense, and he's going to have to deal with that pass rush with, Aiden Hutchinson and so forth. I just think the Lions win this one pretty handily. I'm not going to say they're going to blow them out, but I think they win it handily.
I gotta win it, but you know what? If the Bucks were to surprise, first of all, if the Bucks went in and pulled off the upset here, you all of a sudden have to put them in the conversation for top 4 in the NFC. And I know it's early after 2 games, but you would have to because Detroit, as you just said, you believe is they're the best team with with San Fran. So that would be a huge win, winning up there in Detroit. So I got Lions. I'm sure G Money's got Lions as well, right?
He does. He does.
All right, let's talk Monday night. Falcons. They need to redeem themselves, but they're going to the Eagles, who won that game in Brazil, right? What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, Philly looked really good. Beat a good team in Green Bay.
Despite
And
three
Atlanta
interceptions,
looked,
despite the three interceptions from Jalen, right?
yeah, yeah, right. Jalen was the only player on the team that probably didn't look that good, right? I
Right.
mean, and they still won the game. Um, Atlanta, surprising loss at home to Pittsburgh. I really didn't expect one of those. So I do expect a little bit of a bounce back from them. I do expect them to get some points on Philly, but Philly's just too much, I think, right now for them. And unfortunately, an 0-2 start for the Falcons is going to really put a damper on their chances of winning that division that everybody had them winning.
Well, if you think about
So
it, if the Saints lose to the Cowboys like we predicted, that's one. They're 1-1. And if the Bucks lose to the Lions, they're 1-1. So even if the Falcons lose this one, they're only one game off the pace, right? And they still have to play those
that,
games.
yeah, if everything else, like we said, happens, yes. And
Yeah, yeah.
then right. So and the winner of that division we know could go 9-8, you know.
Yes,
But I'm taking Philly. I'm taking it. It's just a smart pick here.
I am too. What's G Money got?
He's got Philly as well. So the last three were all three of us are the same one. Me and you were the same across the board on all six.
All right,
So
man. All right.
all right.
Look forward to it. Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, my man.